So Shaquille O'Neal is on his podcast, The Big Podcast, with some other white guy, because you know how that goes. And he has these things to say about Rudy.
If I was 42, I'd be making Rudy Gobert money. 12 points and 8 rebounds, I could do it right now. And it's not a diss. It's a fact. Making 250. God damn. Averaging 12 points.
All right, that's where the hate starts. It's Rudy. You know, I don't think any of us are too mad at him hating on Rudy, although he is wrong.
Yeah, he's factually wrong.
Shaq was fat. Like I said, at the end of his career, he couldn't move. He couldn't move laterally if he was on one of those little things at the airport that takes you, from side to side. So, but he also goes on to say this about LeBron.
So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And I got killed for that.
Why is that? You're not gonna get killed here. I'm just
saying. When I first said that, people killed me for that.
I'm with you.
I didn't think players really feared LeBron like they did Jordan.
I never heard anybody say it.
And it's not that you shouldn't fear Bron. I just think at the end of the day, Bron has been through so much that he wanted to be liked. So it was kind of like,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do things now where like people like me, people respect. I mean, you're always gonna respect what he did, but you actually like Bron and want to be a fan of Bron now. So I think that's what that was.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Or George, you never go first.
Sure. I said this the last time it happened, and maybe Mario Chalmers has some insecurities, or these people have insecurities. Just the way that I feel. If I know that a friend of mine or ex-teammate of mine is in like a situation like LeBron James, I know the stuff that I could say being his former teammate could hold a lot of weight. I think it is part of your responsibility to not even entertain this bullshit. For real. If you care about, say you fucked with him, whatever the case may be. Now, maybe Bron has a voice to them that none of that shit really matters. Tell the story how you tell your story. And I'm not even saying they should glaze him up by like just telling lies. They don't even necessarily have to build up the mythology that is LeBron James. But don't entertain this Skip Bayless ass conversation with Shaquille O'Neal. Don't even do that. Especially when there's players out there like DeMar DeRozan that talked about Bron smacking his ass, like Andre Iguodala talked about LeBron, like Klay Thompson talked about LeBron. And I was a little bit after Mario Chalmers' time, but come on, bro. That shit is corny. And it is soft as fuck of a grown-ass man to say they feared another grown-ass man.
Hey, I think this is one of those things that kind of pushes the boundaries of how much are you going to trust these player podcasts? Because we make the arguments of, like when Allen Iverson said you didn't have a left. I mean, how are you going to tell Allen Iverson he didn't have a left, right? So when it comes to these players talking about their experiences in the league and how the league was when they played, and you have multiple people also on the other side of it. I mean, I see what you're saying. Like players, like you can look up quotes like DeMar DeRozan to aid one side of the argument, but you can also look at a lot of NBA players saying like they didn't really fear LeBron.
I feel like when it comes to that conversation, it's weird with LeBron because it's people. Honestly, they do the same thing with Jordan, but it's people who are talking about their experience and what LeBron they experienced and what era of LeBron they experienced that. Like if you look back at those Pistons teams, they're going to the grave saying they ain't give a fuck about Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas going to the grave. That nigga ain't beat me. Go to who? Who has he beat? Not mine. He ain't beat mine. You want to know why? Because the era of Mike he played, he dominated that Mike. He beat that Mike ass. Then it was after his time a little bit, at least what history will tell you, when Mike picked it up. And then, I mean, it wasn't his era no more. Like you said, Omar, you can look at players like DeMar, like Iguodala, like Klay, all who have LeBron experiences post Miami. And I mean, we can all sit there and look at LeBron's game and say there is definitely a difference between Miami Bron and post Miami Bron. Mentality wise, how he carried himself on the basketball court, how he managed the games, how he dictated teams, everything was different. So to Mario Chalmers, seeing a LeBron James that needed Dwayne Wade to take a back seat, needed Dwayne Wade to show him X, Y, and Z, had whatever issues he had with Pat Riley, you still going through these Celtic teams who, at the time, before Kevin Garnett became this big LeBron fan, nigga, Kevin Garnett, we fear that nigga. Fuck him for real. Like you had all the Celtics saying they weren't scared of LeBron. Like that was the LeBron they were talking about. But post that, when you have this other era they haven't experienced, These niggas was like, oh no, that's a. I wish we had, like what DeMar say in that interview after he got bounced.
If we had LeBron on our team too, we would have won.
Shit, we would have won if we had LeBron. You don't say that if you're not scared or mentally broken. Like, I'm sorry, I've never heard some shit like that before. Like, it's clear cut. Players will tell you how they feel about LeBron. But when you have a guy like Shaq and Mario Chalmers, two former LeBron teammates, at a time when LeBron wasn't the same LeBron he is now, I'm not surprised you get the results of people saying, oh, people weren't scared of him or had this to say about him, that to say about him. It just makes sense.
Say you're muted.
I'm definitely big muted. I always find it odd that LeBron's the odd man out in these conversations. And what I mean is, like, even if it's true or not, we don't have this conversation about Steph Curry, Tim Duncan, Bird or Magic. Kobe and Jordan obviously are synonymous, so apparently we fear them. But with LeBron James, a clear-cut top 3 player of all time, for most people, the greatest player of all time. Well, no, second greatest player of all time. And for a lot of the new generation, the greatest player of all time. It's odd that this is the main conversation about him. That's one. Two, I mean, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. What do you mean? So are you talking about him not, like, no fear of losing to him? Because, I mean, are you talking from the perspective of the one team that was able to give him fits? Or are you talking from the perspective of the guy that you were on his team and you probably are the reason, and he's probably the reason that you got past a bunch of teams that you just never in your life could get past if you were in his shoes? So I'm confused there. And if we're talking a physical intimidation thing, I've always been surprised that a 6'6", 215, 220 guy is scarier to niggas than the 6'9", 240, 50, 60 guy. That just logically doesn't connect with me. So I'm just like, okay, what are we talking about fear? I hope it's not the physicality. So now we're talking about in terms of should players be fearing him? The answer is yes. What are we talking about? If you went into practice like, we got LeBron next week, oh yeah, off week. We got LeBron next week, oh, it don't matter. Okay, I don't believe you. I'm 90% sure that y'all were practicing extra. Y'all read a bit more film. Y'all knew who the fuck to foul and not to foul. Y'all were conscious of a lot more things when you played a LeBron team, especially when LeBron had a good team than when he did not. I am confident on that. JJ Redick has come. You talk about endless players that talk about being fearful of LeBron James. JJ Redick is one of those people as well, which came out there and talked about it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just some weird dick suck that's going around lately. But then again, LeBron is the guy that challenging Jordan. You know, the next, you know how that shit goes. So
I guess, I mean, I don't know. I agree with a lot of what y'all saying. I just think it just depends on what you mean by, like, so when they say, oh, Kobe struck fear into people, I would love to hear how they would describe that and why that wouldn't apply to LeBron. Because I feel like it's an all or nothing thing, right? So, like, the way players feared LeBron, I feel like it would also apply to MJ or Kobe. But the ways they didn't fear LeBron James, I also think that would apply to Kobe and MJ as well. I don't know.
I don't think that's true, because the guys that played Kobe that will tell you these stories about how much he feared the Rashard McCants of the world, they would tell you how much Kobe is feared. But you got to remember what LeBron James they played against and what they're referencing. I will point it to how Gilbert talks about Michael Jordan. Gilbert Arenas talks about Michael Jordan because the Michael Jordan that he played against was Wizards Jordan, and he bust his ass. So to him, I think what am I worried about Mike? I give my buckets. Like he talks about him that way because that's who he played. The guys that talk about being scared of Kobe and not being scared of Bron, those would be the same people who witnessed Kobe put up 81 or had to worry about Kobe putting up 30 shots. And if it's the last shot needed, Kobe gonna take it. And it was the same. That was the same years you would play LeBron James and just let that nigga shoot. Oh, he can't shoot. We're gonna step back. He's a pup. He's a young guy. So that typically the guys who are gonna say that are the guys that experience a certain Kobe versus a certain LeBron.
go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing that I have to say to that though is, like, I've heard people play Wizards Michael Jordan and say the same things. So I really don't get it.
Yeah, for me, it's like that would sound good, and maybe it's because LeBron's played in the NBA for so fucking long, but that sound good. But for me, it's like I want to say Gilbert's more of a, like, how many people are still saying about Jordan, despite the fact that they like played against maybe Wizards Jordan, you know? Like, I don't think everybody that dropped off Wizards Jordan is still saying, oh yeah, man, nobody fear that nigga. But like with LeBron, for some reason, everybody just has this story time of how we didn't care about LeBron James or being scary of LeBron. And then when Bezos brought up Kobe's my guy, but unless we're just going to argue shit talk is scary, which it might be, I guess, but I would just question the mental fragility of the NBA at that point. But LeBron maybe doesn't talk as much trash openly and popularly as Kobe, because Kobe was on some pretty bad teams, especially during the best years of his career. He was on some pretty bad teams. So you weren't afraid of Kobe beating you. So what, was you afraid of him like dropping your team off? I would then ask, hey, you afraid LeBron's not going to drop you off? So I don't know. I don't know. Like the highest scoring guy in history might not give me a bucket today. It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's a respect thing. I feel like like a lot of these NBA players, whatever it is, they would perceive fear as a sign of respect, or don't know how to dictate that, or to them by saying, "Oh no, I was scared matching up with this nigga on a night-night basis." That was a sign of respect from them in their point of view. Like saying, "Hey man, yeah, I did fear going up against Mike on any given night," was their way of showing Mike respect. And because I didn't fear LeBron, because I don't respect LeBron, I ain't never feared LeBron. They can worry about LeBron beating them. They can understand, he has the most points in NBA history. Oh yeah, but I'm not scared of that nigga. I'm not worried about him because they don't respect him.
I just think fear is a very extreme word. In this instance.
Maybe it's like how I
fear him.
Maybe that's what it is. The new generation lingo has maybe changed. Maybe that's the only thing, because y'all know how I feel about the word praise a player. I ain't gonna lie. When someone goes off, especially when I was only making NBA content and motherfuckers would comment under my shit, praise Russell Westbrook, praise Anthony Edwards. Who the fuck praise? This nigga ain't God. What are you talking about? So maybe that's what it is in terms of the word fear for these guys. But then it just comes off so fucking disrespectful still. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if for all three of them, like a lot of players, like, shit, I gotta play Jordan on this Tuesday. Same thing with Bron, same thing with Kobe. But
mind you,
that applies to all of them.
I think that it applies to so many players, because if you're and they talk about it too, where it's like, okay, well, you don't go out that night. KG and Paul Pierce talk about it too. And again, shouts out to them, because they are just proving to be better than a lot of these guys. And when, as far as keeping it real at their age, we might go to Washington, and in Washington, I'm going out that night. But when I go play, and sometimes they don't even be the biggest names. And I'm not saying KG said this, but when we go to Dallas, I'm going to sleep. When I go play Carlos Boozer, I'm going to sleep early. Or Joakim Noah, I'm going to sleep early. If I go to San Antonio, we're going to sleep early. But when I go to
there was a name he mentioned specifically too that I seen.
Yeah, but if I go to Orlando,
he had a mean crossover, and y'all don't even know about him. But man, I didn't want to guard that dude. Like, that was a specific quote that he said. That's
what I'm saying. So like, I just the whole concept. I mean, even Damo is somebody who's played basketball, and this is just even on some recreational or some team level, whatever the level is, that there's guys. There's guys that for whatever reason you just can't do nothing with. Like you just busting ass. Or he just busting your ass for whatever reason it is, and you just don't like guarding him. Maybe he do too much, so he's busting your ass. And that goes along with the guys that are definitely stars. So again, what stops you, and not to say to get into it, what stops you from saying that about this guy? And then even I saw B-Souls the other day, like, DeMar DeRozan be busting people ass. Kevin Durant definitely be busting people ass. What is it? I know the new age ain't gonna say Luka. I fear Luka. Like that's.
I think it's the word, honestly, just growing into the new generation. And maybe Unks was using crazy lingo, because I ain't gonna lie. Again, praise and fear are crazy, but maybe that's what it's just become. Maybe that's what it is, honestly, because you're right. Jokic could win five in a row. I ain't gonna lie. For my team, I am afraid of that nigga, but obviously, I don't think LeBron and AD are in the locker room talking about, I'm afraid of Nikola Jokic, bro. They're just like, shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, fuck.
To the other, to devil's advocate take, I guess, I did see Paul Pierce talking about how one of the first times he met Michael Jordan, that motherfucker looked like he was glowing for real. And
Because
KG was
that's
backing
the
him up
guy.
too. And KG was backing him. Like I'm talking about, oh my god, he entered the room and he was just glowing. Like he had this aura around him. Like he had some nen, bro. Like I don't know. Maybe Jordan
Because
is
that's
just that
the guy.
different.
I honestly think it's just because he's the guy at that point. You were told that he's a legend. You have been built up since a kid to hear that, yo, this is the GOAT, this is the greatest player. You wearing the shoes, all that shit like that. It's like if you were an Omni Drake fan and then you're walking to the mall and Drake's there, you might be like, type shit. So like the nigga might be glowing to you, and the whole time that nigga ain't put lotion on. So like it might just be some shit like that, bro. It might be.
I
something
think
like
young players would also look at Kobe like that too, and LeBron for the more younger generation.
I can attest. When he is that guy, he does glow.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I met Tyler, I'm not gonna lie to you, my dad told me you can get starstruck. No, I'm not. I'm gonna just say what's up. And they walked in the room. My dad. Oh yeah, this is my son right here. Oh, this is my son right here. I couldn't say nothing. It was glowing. T-Pain different. I walked up. I said, "What's up?" That was it. It was good, man. Type shit.
That was me with Semi Ojale chat.
Come on, man.